Ever stop and wonder what's really going on inside your smartphone? What's the secret sauce that gives your laptop or even your car its intelligence? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most visionary roles in all of tech, the mind behind the machine, the chip architect. Let's get into it.
So really, what is it that gives these gadgets their smarts? It's not magic, that's for sure. The secret is buried deep inside the silicone in a field that's really a blend of hard science and, well, art. We're talking about chip architecture.
And this quote just nails it. We're not just talking about circuits and logic gates here. It's about the art of creating a thinking machine on a tiny, tiny sliver of silicon. This is the playground of the chip architect.
Okay, so who exactly is this designer of silicon intelligence? Let's break down what a chip architect actually does.
Think of a chip architect as the master planner, the grand visionary. They're not just down in the weeds with the tiny hardware details. Nope. They live at this super high-level intersection of engineering, full system design, and crucially, business strategy. They're the ones who decide the what and the why long before a single component ever gets designed.
But here's the thing. This job is anything but simple. Every single architect on every single project faces this massive, high-stakes puzzle that they have to solve.
You see, designing a chip isn't about just making everything the absolute best, the fastest, the most powerful. It's impossible. You simply can't have the fastest performance, the lowest power consumption, and the smallest size all at the same time. Every single choice you make is a trade-off.
And that leads to the billion-dollar question they're constantly asking. How do you make the right trade-offs for the specific product you're trying to build? I mean, a chip destined for a giant data center server has totally different priorities than one that's going into a tiny smartwatch, right?
In the industry, this whole challenge has a famous name, PPA. That stands for performance, power, and area, and they are all tangled together. For instance, if you push for maximum performance, you want it to be blazing fast, you almost always crank up the power consumption. And to manage that extra heat and complexity, you might need a bigger physical area on the silicon, which, you guessed it, costs more money. On the flip side, if you want to slash power for incredible battery life, you'll probably have to dial back the peak performance. This constant juggling act within the PPA triangle, that is the absolute core of a chip architect's world.
So, if the architect's job is to design a silicon brain, what does the anatomy of that brain actually look like?
To figure that out, we're going to metaphorically dissect a modern system on chip, or SoC. This thing is basically an entire computer system, processor, memory, the whole shebang, all squeezed onto one tiny piece of silicon. Let's look at the key parts that have to work together in perfect harmony. First up, you've got the thinking cores. This is the raw horsepower. You've got the CPU for all your general-purpose tasks, the GPU for handling graphics, and more, you have specialized AI engines. This is the part of the brain that's doing all the heavy lifting, all the number crunching.
But, those cores are totally useless if they can't talk to each other. That's where the chip's nervous system comes in. It's called the interconnect. You can picture it as a network of super-fast data highways, letting all the different parts of the brain communicate instantly, making sure everything is perfectly in sync.
Then you've got the memory bank. Just like our own brains, a chip needs both short-term memory, that's the incredibly fast cache right next to the processor, and long-term memory, which is your main system RAM. The architect's job here is to design this whole memory system so those hungry thinking cores never have to sit around waiting for data. And of course, there are tons of other vital organs. You need I/O blocks to talk to the outside world. You know, how you connect your mouse via USB. You need a really sophisticated power and clock architecture to deliver electricity and a heartbeat to everything. And you absolutely need dedicated security blocks to keep all your data safe. A modern chip is, well, it's an incredibly complex little city.
All right, now let's go a level deeper, because a modern chip isn't just about wiring up a bunch of parts, it's about creating these advanced, intelligent functions.
And this is a really critical point. Just being fast isn't good enough anymore. A chip architect has to design for intelligence, smart power management, ironclad security, and super efficient ways to handle specialized tasks like AI.
Take power optimization, for example. Architects use clever tricks like clock gating, which is basically telling a part of the chip that isn't being used to just stop thinking for a split second. Then there's power gating, which is even more aggressive. It puts an entire section of the chip completely to sleep. For a device like your watch that's always on, these techniques are the secret to it lasting for days instead of just a few hours.
And what about the chip's immune system? That's the security architecture. A system like ARM's Trust Zone literally splits the chip into two separate worlds. A normal world where your everyday apps run,
and a totally isolated, super secure world for critical stuff like your fingerprint data or your mobile payment info.
And of course, in the age of AI, architects are now designing a dedicated learning center right onto the chip. We're talking about specialized hardware, like NVIDIA's Tensor Cores, that are built to do one thing and one thing only: crunch the massive, complex math that powers machine learning. And because they're so specialized, they can do it way, way faster and use a tiny fraction of the power a normal CPU would need.
So with all this complexity, how does someone even become a chip architect? Well, it's not a job you just apply for out of college. It's a journey.
The path usually looks something like this. It's a journey of expanding scope. You might start as a design engineer, writing the code for one very specific component on the chip. Then you move up, maybe designing a larger subsystem. The key is that with every step, your view zooms out. You go from focusing on one little block to a collection of blocks until you get to the SoC architect level, where you're responsible for the whole thing. And at the very top, a chief architect might be setting the technical strategy for an entire company's product roadmap for years to come.
And that whole journey really comes down to a critical shift in your mindset. You have to evolve from focusing on how to build one small piece perfectly to defining the high-level strategy for how hundreds of these pieces are going to work together to create an amazing, successful product.
Which brings us right back to where we started. The chip architect really is the ultimate designer of the silicon brain, a master strategist who is constantly, and I mean constantly, balancing the pressures of speed, efficiency, cost, and that relentless push for the next big thing.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. As our world gets more connected, as AI weaves itself into everything we do, the demands we put on these silicon brains are just going to skyrocket. So the real question is, what kind of intelligence will we need them to have next?